Good evening, Bridgewater. My name is Kristy, and I'm from Maryland.
My name is Marissa, and I'm from Maryland.
My name is Allie, and I'm from Delaware. We've all chosen to travel to Bridgewater, Virginia to do this very podcast.
So today we're going to be talking to you guys about our out-of-state experiences for college. As you heard, we're all from different states besides Virginia, and we made the decision to go out of state. So we're going to just talk to you guys about why we chose to go out of state. We're going to give you some pros and cons about that, and then we're going to also give you guys some advice.
Okay, so first, a little bit of background on each of us. I'm a comm major, and I'm a junior, and the reason why I wanted to do out of state is because I felt like it was a really good distance between home and here. I live basically exactly 2 hours, so I felt like that was a nice thing. Not too far, not too close.
I definitely agree with that about not being too far away, but having the ability to go home and drive on the weekends. But we'll talk about that later. To introduce myself, my name is Allie Bishop. Again, I'm from Delaware. My major is communications, and I'm a junior. When I began thinking about which college I wanted to go to, I thought about what I wanted. And I wanted new experiences. I wanted to challenge myself. And luckily, when I found Bridgewater, it felt just like home, and that's something that I definitely wanted. So that's kind of the reason why I chose to go out of state, and Bridgewater was the area that provided me with all of those things.
Okay, so like I said earlier, I'm Kristy. I'm from Maryland, about 3 hours away. I'm a comm major, a junior this year. So my kind of thought process behind choosing out-of-state college was that I felt like 3 hours was a pretty good distance. I didn't want to go over that distance because I wanted to be able to drive home in a day, see my family if I needed to. I also kind of wanted to be far enough away that you learn independence, you gain new experiences like Allie was talking about. I thought she had great points as to kind of everyone's thought process behind being out of state. I think it's a really good experience, and that you kind of gain more knowledge into life and into being on your own, and it also kind of pushes you to make more friends because you don't have your old friends to fall back on as much, or your family, so it pushes you to be social, make friends, and just to kind of gain a lot of new experiences and learn things about life. So
yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk about these pros and cons. So I think one of the cons for me was the first few weeks of college. That was probably the hardest challenge I've ever given myself. So how were your guys' reactions before I share mine?
Okay, I'll go ahead. So my first few weeks, they weren't terrible. They weren't great. They weren't terrible. I just kind of felt like I was in this weird trance. Personally, when I came here, my sister had gone to Bridgewater before, so I had been here before and visited and eaten in the KCC with her and that was things. So I thought that was going to help with the transition. I thought that it's going to be easier. I knew about, I think, one person that went here. That was about all I knew, and then a couple other people that my roommate obviously, and things like that. It just kind of felt like a trance, and it was just an adjustment period. I had to actually force myself to start processing things and be okay, I'm in college now. I have to do this. I have to get adjusted and make friends. And I feel like they try to put too much on you your first few weeks rather than just relax. You're always, you have another event to go to. You have another thing to go to. You don't have that long before classes start up and stuff like that. But it also is good because it kind of pushed you, all the events we had, it pushed you to go out and meet people. It pushed you to go out and do stuff rather than just hide in your room. So I didn't have terrible experiences, but it was just kind of definitely an adjustment period for me. What about you, Marissa?
Yeah, I was kind of the same, but I was a little more fortunate because my sister actually was here her senior year when I got here. And so, I had her friends to back up on. If I was nervous, they'd see me, they're how are you doing? How's your first week going? And I was it's okay. It's a lot. It's new. I'd call my mom probably 8 times a day, Mom, I ate at the KCC. And she's all right, Marissa, go through your day. You're a big girl. I mean, it's definitely a different college in general, going into it and having to do everything yourself. When I was in high school, I remember coming home and my mom would be oh, you want a snack? Or she'd have dinner ready when I got out of soccer. And no, you got to do everything, and it's all you. You don't have anyone telling you, you got to do this, that. And so being out of state, it was new too. I noticed that people around me kind of had a different dialect, and I was what is this y'all stuff? And then next thing I knew, I was saying y'all instead of you guys, and it was just, I don't know, but it was different, but it wasn't the worst thing I've experienced, so.
Yeah. So, yes. What are some of you guys' favorite things, about being out of state? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but, so far, now that the thought process when you first went here versus now, a few years into it, favorite things about being out of state?
Oh, okay. So my favorite things, like, is probably the drive. I never realized how much I love, like, road trips because, like,
Yes.
growing up, like, I never, like, really went anywhere. Like, me and my family, like, we probably went on 2 road trips in my childhood. So I actually love, like, driving by myself, like, seeing the mountains, like, on the interstates and stuff, and making that, like, fire playlist, you know? But that's one of my favorite things. And, like you said earlier, like, just meeting new people and, like, forcing yourself kind of to, like, make these new friends. Like, now I have friends that, like, are from Florida and New York and Texas, and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many experiences, like, you get from going somewhere new, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true, because you wouldn't even think, like, you know, Bridgewater is so small, but we really do reach out really far, and it's a really cool experience. You wouldn't think that only, you know, a couple hours from home you would get so many different experiences and exposures to things that you didn't even have before.
Going off of what you guys said, kind of like combining the people from everywhere in the road trips, one of my favorite things about being out of state is that you have excuses to go on road trips now, because you do know people that live in, like, these different places. Like, over the summer I went to visit a lot of my friends, like my friend that lived at the beach, like my friend that lived in Richmond, like different places like that. And it's, like, really nice to have that kind of, like, excuse and, like, somewhere to go and stay and, like, everything like that. It's really fun.
I know, I love that too. Like, now it's like, okay, well, I have a place to stay here if I ever want to go there, and different things. I definitely think another thing, like, I've just, like I said before, I wanted to challenge myself, and, like, those first couple of weeks, like we were talking about, I would, like, cry, like, every night, basically. It was, like, awful, because, like, I was on the field hockey team, so I came a little bit earlier, and I didn't have a roommate and everything. So that first week was tough. So, and I think it's, like, really, like, finding yourself and those challenges, and, like, being out of state. When you challenge yourself like that, you find out who you are, who you want to be friends with. Like, it's not those back home things that, like, have kind of shaped you. Like, now you get to figure out on your own, like, in a completely different area, what's important to you and everything. And I think that's another favorite thing of mine.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the really good things. Do you guys think there's any kind of cons to being out of state that you may not have considered before going here? Or that you knew were coming, but you kind of didn't really get to experience until you were here?
I think for me, like, a con is, yes, I love those road trips and everything, but sometimes that drive, like, I go through DC traffic, and that is very hard. Like, when it becomes a 5-hour trip instead of 3, it's, like, that's tough. So then it, like, makes you kind of not want to make the travel home, so then you miss out on certain experiences. Like, I missed out on my sister's best friend's wedding this semester, and that was, like, tough for me to witness these your family doing things without you, and you're like, wow, I'm just here. Like,
that was one of the ones that came to my mind too, was, like, you and your family or your friends, like, from home have, like, events that you can't go home for, or, like, events like weddings and things like that, and you, like, see the pictures on Facebook or, like, something like that, and you get this little pang, like, oh, I wish I was home, like, I really enjoyed being here, but I wish I was somehow just home for that moment, and then came back, like, you know.
But not drowning in homework.
Exactly. I don't have time to drive 3 hours home.
So, I mean, I can definitely tell that you guys are close with your family, and I am too, and that, I think, is the hardest thing for me is, you know, when I am having really low days, it's like I can't hug my mom. I can't, you know, talk to them about it. I mean, I can call her, but it's not the same. So, you know, it kind of goes back on that thing of what Allie was saying, you know, it's finding yourself, but it's also, you know, part of growing up. And I think it's a really good precursor to, like, adult life, because you have to really learn to kind of be by yourself and do everything, you know, kind of not with home. Independence is, like, the key to life, I feel like. Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. I felt like after, so changing from freshman year, like, being here 3 years and having these experiences and everything, like, I've definitely gotten to the point now where I'll get so into the motions and everything that I'll, like, forget to call my family, and I'm like, wow, like, freshman year I would call them every day, and, like, now I'm to this point where I'm like, shoot, I need to call them. But, like, it was after field hockey season, we had lost our quarterfinal game, and it just hit me. I was like, I miss my family so much, and I haven't thought about them in 2 months, like, basically, because, like, you get so in the motions of everything, and it's so hard to balance that out, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Did you guys want to transition into advice for people who maybe are considering going out of state, or maybe they're from Virginia, they go to Bridgewater thinking about transferring, or just people who just want to know, like, kind of what knowledge we've accumulated, like, during our time here?
Definitely. The first thing that came to my mind, which is interesting, last year I was having a little bit of trouble, like, being away from home and everything, and my mom made me these little notes, and it was every day, so it was like 30 notes that she made me, and it was just like inspirational quotes, or just like, hey, I love you, different things, and I thought that was like, I know, like, just got me through that semester so much. So if any of the parents out there, like, do that for their out-of-state students, it really does make a difference, and like really brings up a like bad day when you're ever having it.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say something I miss. No hate on the KCC, but I really miss my home cooked food.
Yep.
So my mom's like, she's like, do you need food? I'm like, yes, always. She's like, okay, and she's sending me back with like 8 meals, and I'm never complaining. I'm like, it probably won't fit in my fridge, but it's okay. I'll just eat it all tonight. But definitely.
That's the best
That's
thing.
something you're gonna miss at any college, because home cooked food is never gonna measure up to a cafeteria.
I think my favorites were like those containers of cookies, and then like spaghetti. I would eat that for like a week. Like,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, whenever I, like, in high school, when I went out to eat, it was like, oh, it's just going out to eat, like, it's not that big of a deal. Now it's, like, so exciting. I'm like, I'm going out to eat, like, it's so fun, like, good food, like, not being at KCC.
Yeah. Oh, gift cards are amazing.
It's, like, a good piece of advice is for, like, birthdays, Christmases, graduation, anything you can. Get gift cards to places to eat, Walmart, like, places that you'll need, like, things like that. That's just, you always want to ask for those gift cards.
I think another advice, this isn't really going with what we talked about, but, like, I've gotten so many different experiences by just, like, looking up on things on, like, Facebook or something, like, what to do near me. And, like, I found, like, this old antique barn, and, like, found, like, the Valley Pike Farm Market, and it was just different things around here. Like, you really have to research and kind of go out of your comfort zone and explore those different things. Like, so I definitely recommend that, because I found places that aren't, like, at home at all. So I think that was something I've enjoyed.
I just started, like, my freshman year, I would literally be that annoying person that responds and is like, where is this? Because, like, I'm like, if someone posts something on social media, like, my freshman year, I was like, I'm finding all the cool places, like, I'm gonna ask everyone. So I feel like just don't be afraid to just be like, hey, where is this? Like, do you have any recommendations? People who are from this area, or, like, people who've been here a few years, I think that's definitely good advice.
Yes.
And that's something really nice about Bridgewater, is it is so safe that, you can go around and you can explore. It's not, I mean, yeah, it's more fun obviously with friends, but if you're even by yourself, you just want to go on a drive, it's so pretty, and there's like so many different little things that, like, if you're from a city, probably it would be like foreign to you, because it's just so different. But another point that I thought of, which is kind of a little bit off base, but when Allie was talking, something that made me feel more at home was how I decorated my dorm. I made sure to have like tons of pictures of my family and my friends, and just little things like that, and anything that kind of reminded me of home, smells like candles, well, I guess the ones that we're allowed to have, but yeah, so anything like that.
I definitely agree. That just made me think, and it's my phone wallpaper, so I just pulled it up, and my best friend's mom sent me this in the mail my freshman year, and it says, life brings us to unexpected places, and love brings us home. So that's something I always put in my dorm room, and it just, like, is something I've always looked at, because, like, this was an unexpected place for me, but, like, I'd never want to leave. Like, being a junior this year, I'm so sad. I don't want to leave this place. So.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this place is, like, my friendships that I have here. Through the highs and the lows, I have amazing friends here, and I wouldn't trade them for the world, honestly. Like, I'm gonna be so upset, like, not, like, living in the dorm with them, or being able to, like, walk over to their place since Bridgewater is so small.
No, I think that reminds me of a piece of advice, too. Like, I regret my freshman year, like, not going, like, putting myself out there, I guess. So, just like having those experiences, and like just know that everyone around you, like even if they're in state or not, like we're all going through the same thing. So put yourself out there and like make yourself meet new people, basically.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And then like going off of that, like you definitely your freshman year want to, like, get started, like, throw yourself into this new life, kind of embrace it. But at the same time, like, don't forget, like, where you came from. Like, don't forget, like, we all talked about it, how we call our moms all the time. Like, don't forget to call your mom, call your, like, grandparents, call your family, stay involved with stuff at home. And, you know, if you have some good friends from high school, like, don't just kind of throw that away because you're at a new place with new friends. Like, at least for me, I found that that's a really nice, it's like a hard balance to find, because I kind of had the opposite, where freshman year, I, like, really threw myself into it and kind of just, like, not lost touch with people, but just didn't communicate as often as I should have. So, like, now I've, like, definitely compensated with that, and, like, I feel like you find that good balance, but it's...
Definitely.
Yeah, try to find that balance as quick as you can.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think my freshman year, I was like, well, I know I'm not going to be friends with those people for, like, the rest of my life, so I don't want to talk to them right now. So it was, like, different things like that. I definitely should have, like, rethought that. But,
yeah. No, I get that. It takes you a while, because you have kind of, like, temporary friends at first till you find, like, your friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you'll still see them and ask how they're doing and stuff like that. And it's still, like, a significant part of your experience. But I definitely, like, don't get discouraged if it takes a while for you to, you know what I mean, find your people, because you will.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I
and there's
agree.
a lot of people that, I mean, there are a lot of commuters that go to Bridgewater, but there's also a ton of people that aren't commuters and that are in the same situation as, you know, we all are, as being out of state. And there's even people, you know, like the exchange students that are from different countries, you know, and I think about, like, wow, like, they might not even be able to contact home, you know, you never know, and they're not going to be able to actually physically go home. So I think as far as for us three, we were really fortunate being able to have that ability to go home if we need to.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we do, like, need to realize how lucky we are, honestly.
That's true.
Because I can imagine, like, only going home for Christmas or something like that.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
Okay. Well, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add? Or our goal for this was hopefully that we could help someone out there, give some advice, just kind of let you in on our experiences, and maybe you could relate to some of them. So,
yeah.
I think that's kind of all we had for
Definitely
tonight.
stick to your roots, but enjoy where you're at.
Exactly. All right.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.